Hey everybody. So for today, what we're going to be looking at is really the frustration that some new players have whenever they come into the game and they only have really light tackle, that beginner rod, the beginner reel. Maybe they've only got, one or two rods and reels. They don't really have the heavy tackle to take on the big fish. I remember when I was first starting out, some of the biggest frustrations that I had were hooking on to big fish when I did not have the appropriate stuff to reel them in. So I would reel and reel and reel and reel, and I would fight and fight, and I'd just fight this fish forever and ever and ever. And eventually the fish would break off, or I just would never be able to reel it in, and I'd just get frustrated and cut the line. There's not much you can do to mitigate it. I mean, it's a problem that happens in real life too, right? If you fish in real life, that's just something that happens. So really, all you can do to minimize is a couple of things. The biggest thing, number one, and that's what we're going to go over today, is really just be picky about where you fish. If you're fishing in these large bodies of water here on the Trollsporet map, because you're gonna get salmon, you're gonna get pike, you're gonna get these big fish. But what you can do is you can be selective about these lakes, and you're not going to have all this stuff unlocked whenever you come into the game for the first time. But what I can do is I can show you on the map where some good lakes are for some of the smaller fish. Now we're talking roach, grayling, and bream. Those are the three target species that you want to look at if you've only got that beginner light tackle. If that's the case, right here, this is where you're going to start out. One of the closest places to go is this little lake right here. Asp, grayling, roach. Now, asp can get pretty big, and you may have to, cut your line a couple of times. Or you could fight them. You can fight the asp and try to bring them in. It's really up to you. And as far as that goes, I mean, the harder the fight, the more XP you're going to get. Now, I think there's a balance as a new player. You don't want to be spending 20 minutes fighting a fish, and then when you could have caught 3 or 4 fish and got more XP. Right? So there's a balance to having a good fight and getting good XP, but really being able to reel in the fish in a reasonable amount of time. If you're just starting out and you want to try the Norway DLC map, because I know when it comes to console, it's going to be free for a little while, you really want to go for small fish like roach and grayling. Those two are probably going to be some of your best. Bream is also going to be a good choice as well. But these 3 lakes here are going to be good. You're going to have this lake here. Then if you want, I'm going to scroll out just a little bit here. This lake here, just roach. I believe there is some other fish in there, if I can remember. These little icons here. They don't always tell you every fish in there, if I remember correctly. But those are the primary fish in there for sure. And this one, asp and roach, and this one here. Those are going to be some good lakes for you. This one here is also good. It's got pretty much every fish we want. The bullhead catfish, those are going to be a little bit tougher to reel in, and you may have to fight those for a while. The same with the asp. But this lake is also going to be really good for just the bream, grayling, and roach for you beginners. Another lake down here, I believe this one. This one's a little bit tough because it's got grayling, and eyed is kind of, it gets on the border there. It can get pretty big. But the char and the catfish, the char is going to fight really hard. You're going to have a little bit of a hard time here, so be careful fishing there. And then I'm going to scroll out a little bit more. And then this one here is also really good. Eyed and grayling and Arctic char again. It's a teeny tiny little thing here. I really wouldn't focus there too much unless you download the DLC rods and you're able to get something a little bit heavier. Not this one, not that one. I think it's this one's not too bad. That one is this one here. There's gonna be Atlantic salmon in there. It's gonna be rough fishing for you in that one. I believe it's this one. Yes, this is good. Eyed, grayling, Arctic char. Like I said, the char are gonna be hard fighters, but those are some good ones. They don't have salmon. Really, the things you want to avoid, the fish you want to avoid on this map as a beginner are the pike and the salmon, the Atlantic salmon. Those are very hard fighting, very huge fish, and big ones will bite on small lures. I mean, even a silver salmon is over 20 pounds, and you know it's really just gonna take forever to reel in, and at some point it's not really gonna be worth it for you whenever you could be at a smaller lake catching smaller fish more appropriate to your size of tackle and getting more XP for it. So that's really the biggest thing as far as that goes. Now what you can also do is let's go back here to this map here. Let's say we're gonna go to this lake here, right? Aspen roach. All right, so if there's aspen roach in that lake, we can go here and we can look at, okay, asp likes swim bait, grub, jerk bait. Okay, so don't use that for the asp. And the roach, they like bloodworms, pearl barley, bread. So you're going to want to use these. What I have noticed is the asp really do like the bloodworm. They will bite on bloodworms quite a bit. So if you're going for bloodworm and you don't want to catch an asp, you can click tab here and it'll show you in order what they like. So even though bloodworm is down here, the asp will go for bloodworm relatively often. So just a heads up on that. But that is really what you want to do. But right here, you don't see on here, you don't see bread, you don't see pearl barley on here at all. So if we go back and we go to our roach, pearl barley and bread, they're going to bite on those pretty often, and they're not even on the asp list. So if you throw those out, you're probably not going to get asp, and you can probably just get roach. Just really target that species. But like I said, there's a lot of variation here. I mean, if you look at the pike, you know, the pike say, oh, you know, these three are their top three, but the pike will hit on almost anything. And it's the same with the salmon. I mean, I can tell you I feel like salmon have bitten on everything I've ever thrown out. So really just minimizing fishing in spots with a lot of pike and a lot of salmon, and focusing on bodies of water that have just the smaller species. That's going to be the best tip I can give you to not wasting time and to not getting frustrated when you're just starting out and you throw out your line and you have to fight a fish for 20 minutes because it's way too big for the tackle you've got on. So if you've got any other questions, or if you've got any other suggestions or anything like that, please let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks.